When did you find out about the nuclear plant explosion?
About 7 days, about 7 or 10 days later after explosion happened, Russian government was forced to make an announcement to Russian people about what happened in the nuclear plant. So it was about more than a week. Um, People lived without knowing the radiation was all over us.
What did you do after you found out?
We didn't know how dangerous it was for us. We lived our lives like normal day to day until we heard some people who knew a little bit more or more started preparing their families to leave, to go somewhere deeper in the country, away from the place where it's really happened, where the uh, danger was uh, very high.
Did the radiation affect the environment?
Of course, but nothing was obvious because you can't really see the radiation. So we didn't know about any change. We didn't know it's affected our food and animals until it was Japanese scientists, people who were experienced in that kind of business, if you can call it business, who made an announcement on TV and told us how dangerous it was and how we should act when we were cooking or living every day of our lives. And like for example, if we needed to cook potato, to boil potato, we couldn't just boil it until it was done. We had to change boiled water 3 times, water, and start all over again 3 times until it was okay to eat it. You can imagine how we were cooking chicken soup and how terrible it looked because it was the color was white like a clear water after the soup was done. Um, so that says how dangerous the radiation was, and it really affected everything around us.
Could you still go out and do activities?
No, not in the way we did before. We were advised to stay home, uh, keep all windows and doors closed after we got in, uh, wash floors twice a day, make sure our hair were washed every single day. When we were out, we were advised to cover our hair and basically stay home, not going to movies or restaurants, not to be exposed to an air, just stay inside. We didn't know if it was dangerous inside or outside, but it's probably, obviously, it was because at night all trees and roads were water hosed to make sure it was clean and washed before people were going to work next morning. Um, People were afraid to do such an activities like going to grow anything in their yards. The explosion happened in April, so it was time when people were usually started planting their flowers and gardens, and it wasn't. We were advised to stay away from that activities. Um, a lot of Russian people like to go to a forest and pick up some berries and mushrooms. It was a little different there than it was here. Mushrooms weren't grown on the farms. It was only picked in the forest, and then people would bring it to farmers market and sell it. So we were advised to stay away from anything which came from forest because of crowdness crowdness of trees made radiation to stay there even deeper and not moving. So that was about that. It was a big no-no. So we were staying in the house inside.
How far from the Chernobyl area did you live?
Not so far. We lived about 60, 70 miles away from that place, close enough to be afraid for our lives.
Did you visit any places that were affected by the radiation?
I'm sorry.
Did you visit any places that were affected by the radiation?
Oh, yes. We did go about 2 years later. We did go to a town which called Svislach. It was a town which was built for people who worked at the Chernobyl nuclear plant, and it was all abandoned. Not only it was no people, the forest, the very deep forest of all evergreens was stained brown. It changed color to brown. It was burned from the top to the bottom. All trees were like they were in a fire. The ground was brown color too. I can explain that, and it was no people around. And it wasn't a good idea to go there. It was no people living there anymore. We just happened to drive by, and we decided to stop and see what happened there.
How did this affect you and your family?
This affected everybody who lived in the area close to Chernobyl. Um, we were afraid for our children to get sick, and it was very possible. A lot of people were diagnosed with brain cancer or leukemia or thyroid cancer. That was three cancers, three deadly diseases which were jumped in a number of cases. So the explosion in the Chernobyl nuclear plant basically pushed us to leave country, and that was the main reason we left. coming to United States.
Okay, thank you, Babushka.
You're welcome.